Now at 6, our cameras rolling as the Coast Guard fires shots at a U-Haul driver that tried to back into the Alameda base.
It was fairly quiet until it wasn't.
New details on the FBI investigation amid the immigration protests, and new moments of chaos and confusion today. Plus, federal workers now missing their first full paycheck. How the government shutdown is now trickling down to small businesses that rely on those employees.
10 minutes before 12, empty, street is empty.
And later, with Halloween around the corner, a look at the supernatural side of Bay Area history.
This is the site of the most brutal battle between mortals and vampires.
A tour of San Francisco through the eyes of a vampire.
This is CBS News Bay Area with Juliette Goodrich.
Good evening. Security forces just outside Coast Guard Island are on alert after a chaotic scene last night. Our cameras caught the moment Coast Guard officers opened fire at a U-Haul truck that sped in reverse toward the entrance to the base. The FBI is now investigating. Things have calmed down since then. A small group of protesters came back to the scene that's been the site of demonstrations over a federal immigration operation that's since been called off. The Coast Guard has put new barriers up, and there have been some tense moments today with drivers apparently getting confused. Our Brad Hamilton has been out there all day and has a live shot for us and more information on what happened. Let's go to his...
KPIX photojournalist Rick Villaroman's camera was rolling around 10 p.m. Thursday night when a person driving a U-Haul sped in reverse towards the island's bridge barrier and Coast Guard security personnel, who then began firing rounds at the truck. The driver then quickly drove forward, away from the officers. The U.S. Coast Guard said in a statement the vehicle was driving erratically, and law enforcement officers opened fire after issuing commands to the driver to stop. In an update from the FBI tonight, they say that the driver was released from the hospital and is now in custody. The person's identity has not been released, but protesters say they had seen this person hanging around the demonstration earlier in the day. Another bystander was injured in the gunfire, and both are expected to recover. No Coast Guard personnel were injured.
The part that was crazy is how many rounds they fired. They probably fired well over 50 rounds, it felt like.
Justin Hertzer saw it all unfold and described the driver's behavior in the moments before.
He was just driving really slow down the road this whole time, probably 10, 15 miles an hour, probably getting ready to do whatever he was going to do. He was probably pretty psyched out because, like I said, he had system down, I think toxicity going really loud.
The incident playing out after a day of protesting at the Coast Guard base, where some Border Patrol agents had arrived for an immigration operation that President Trump has since called off. As a crowd gathered for a second day of protesting, what happened last night appeared to add a new sense of heightened tension.
Get my cars through there so we can stop over there, so I'm just asking you guys to move.
Friday morning, around 11, we witnessed a confrontation between protesters and CHP officers trying to get their vehicles through the entrance to the base.
Does it have anything to do with ICE?
But a chain of people blocked them, so they went through on foot to provide security on the other side. About an hour later, an elderly woman drove past protesters and up the entrance of the base. As she approached, security screamed at her to turn around. We could hear several popping noises as she approached, and witnesses say she was hit by pepper spray balls. But she did stop, visibly shaken, and turned around and eventually drove away. From there, the tension seemed to dissipate. Despite the fact that Border Patrol agents have already been redeployed, their mission canceled in the Bay Area, those that came say the threat alone was enough to show up today.
It feels like a moment where I, as an individual, really can make a difference just by coming out and being in the street.
Okay, developing just a short time ago, I'm going to have Rick get in here. CHP came. They also have a bunch of officers behind us here. You can see they are in riot gear. They are currently talking about clearing this roadway here. This is Embarcadero. They're trying to get it back open. They say they need to get the flow of traffic back in here, but they've been talking with people that have been protesting here all day, trying to clear the area, trying to clear some of the cars off. But right now they're just in discussions trying to figure out exactly how they want to do this. There are a bunch of protesters behind us here. You're now looking right now at what CHP is talking about. And we're going to stay on CHP here, but there are protesters that are trying to see themselves what exactly they are being instructed to do. Again, as you can see behind us, there are a bunch of CHP officers that are all in their riot gear, awaiting orders. What other happens here is still in standby mode as the conversation continues. And really right now, it's extremely fluid here. This just really developed about 5 minutes ago. And Juliet, right now, we're just going to stay here. I'm going to toss back to you. If anything happens here, obviously you can take us, but we're still trying to figure it out ourselves.
Yeah, certainly. And you did say the key word. They're having a conversation right now, and hopefully it stays that way. I know you'll be there on the scene for us. Brad, thanks so much. All right, Oakland Mayor Barbara Lee did confirm ICE and Border Patrol have canceled their operations for the Greater Bay Area, including Oakland. But today, Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem responded to the violence at last night's protest, saying if it continues, they will have to respond.
The president said that was their one chance, that if they don't figure out how to protect our law enforcement officers and protect our Coast Guard members, that we would be forced to come in and protect those individuals.
Meantime, legal workers held a one-day strike outside of the federal building in San Francisco. They say they want ICE out of courthouses and immigration reform. The union behind the strike says they are organizing a national walkout. All right, let's take a live look from our camera on Sutro Tower now. You can barely make out.
That's Treasure Island.
Well, that's Treasure Island there. I was going to say you can barely make out the Golden Gate Bridge, but yeah, that's pretty far.
Yeah, it's the Bay Bridge.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, you can make it out.
I'm so glad you're standing by next to me, Paul. As the fog rolls in, we have some rain on the way this weekend, and Paul's here to tell us about that too.
We were going to show you the Sutro Tower camera. Yeah. It is completely fogged in at this point, which is why that is not the vista that we chose, because it's not a vista of anything but droplets. Let's take a look at what's going to happen as we head into the weekend. We are tracking an atmospheric river that's going to primarily focus its energy on the Pacific Northwest and Northern California. Here's the radar simulation. As we go through the weekend, you see the majority of the showers over Northern California, occasionally creeping down towards the Bay Area. One round of showers late tonight into early tomorrow morning. Another round of showers making its way across the Bay Area on Sunday. Not going to amount to a lot in our neck of the woods. Some measurable rainfall, but I think on the high end of things, we're talking a little over a quarter inch of rain for parts of the North Bay. The North Coast, though, some locations there could pick up 2 to 4 inches of total rainfall as we head through the weekend. So if you're heading out and about this weekend, we got a bunch of Halloween and fall-themed things happening around the Bay Area, including Boo at the Zoo, Oakland. Well, a little bit damp, a little bit cool, but there are going to be dry hours. Saturday afternoon through about sunrise on Sunday looks like a dry time frame, and then we should be drying out Sunday afternoon as well. But temperatures are going to be cool across the entire region, running anywhere from 3 to 6 degrees below what's normal for late October. We'll take a look at the 7-day forecast, which does include more of a warm-up. That's coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, is anything normal? I don't know, Paul.
Not us.
All right, moving forward now, let's head to the South Bay, where a San Jose police officer is in the hospital recovering from a crash during a police chase. Now, police say the officer was attempting to arrest a carjacking suspect when his patrol vehicle crashed into a median separating traffic lanes from railroad tracks. Happened at North Capitol Avenue and Berryessa Road. The suspect was able to get away. The officer has minor injuries. 5 people were stabbed in an early morning fight in San Francisco's inner Richmond district. It happened inside a business just before 2 a.m. near Geary Boulevard and 4th Avenue. Officers say an argument turned physical. When first responders arrived, they found 5 people were stabbed. 4 were taken to the hospital. So far, no arrests have been made. All right, a live look at the U.S. Capitol building in Washington, D.C., with still no end in sight to the government shutdown after 24 days. And for many federal workers, today was supposed to be payday. As Dahlin reports in Oakland, the trickle-down effect is also hurting small businesses that rely on those federal employees.
The November rent and bills are coming up fast. Many federal workers worry how they'll pay for them. The folks at this downtown Oakland federal building decline to talk on camera. One woman tells me she fears retaliation if she speaks up. In her words, she says the Trump administration is a lot more petty than the previous administrations. Business owner Sam Samhari and his wife run 2 restaurants across from the federal building, City Cup and Big Guy's Burgers.
Government shutdown is affect about 30% of my business.
He says many essential workers who are still working without pay are struggling financially.
Lately, we have about 10 to 15% decline card. So people use the credit card, decline. I never have a tab. Now I do have a tab. For a few people I know for a long time, I have a tab for them.
We're told some furloughed workers are picking up rideshare and food delivery jobs to cover basic bills.
A majority of federal workers are paycheck to paycheck. Our federal workers span the region in this district. 10,000 federal workers are affected by this shutdown. We're seeing an increased number of those federal workers preemptively. They're not going to get their full checks this week. Go to our food banks and seek out low interest loans from our community banks.
Sam says he's luckier than many of his customers. But the initial COVID shutdown, the work from home shift, and now this government shutdown have hit his business hard. He also shared surveillance video of break-ins at his restaurants, about 10 in the last 3 years, costing him thousands.
I tell you, I got 1 more years to go. When my daughters finish graduation from the school, I'm done.
He says the stress is too much and they're barely hanging on. He survived 2 major government shutdowns before, in 2013 and 2018, but this one hurts the most with higher food and labor costs.
10 minutes before 12, empty, street is empty.
At a roundtable with 7 East Bay mayors on Friday, Congresswoman Latifah Simon says she understands the pain, but says lawmakers are fighting to protect health care. Sam just wants both sides to find a compromise soon.
Between the Democrat and Republican, they don't care. They're both hard-headed. I want this, I want this.
Even if lawmakers reopen the government next week, Sam says it'll take the workers a while to start spending again because they haven't been paid in so long.
Daw, thank you. Meanwhile, in D.C., there are no talks scheduled between Democrat and Republican lawmakers anytime soon. The Senate has adjourned for the weekend. The House has been on vacation since the shutdown started, with both sides trading blame.
If Democrats continue to hold Americans hostage, there will not be enough funds to provide SNAP benefits for more than 40 million Americans on November 1st.
The Trump administration has the resources now, including through an emergency contingency fund that has about $5 billion in it, to ensure that not a single American goes hungry.
The House will be out of session for yet another week after Speaker Mike Johnson declared next week a district work period. The House has now been out of session for over a month, with the last votes on September 19th. But there is some good news. Muir Woods has temporarily reopened, and that's thanks to a coalition of vendors who run businesses inside the park. It closed at the beginning of the shutdown, and now, through the end of the month, entrance is free for all visitors. The organizers of the effort told us, with the help of dozens of our tour operators, the gift shop, and parking company, the group was able to raise $46,000, enough to reopen for 10 days. Up next, with the fog, could San Francisco be the perfect getaway for vampires? We have a look at this ghastly tour for those with a thirst for the supernatural. San Francisco leaders are celebrating the recovery and donation of 10 million pounds of fresh food through the SF Markets Food Recovery Program. Today, Mayor Daniel Lurie joined the effort, lifting the box containing the 10 millionth pound of fresh, healthy produce.
I want to congratulate all of you on this extraordinary achievement, and on behalf of the residents of the great city and county of San Francisco, thank you for your continued service to our city.
The program collects food from merchants and donates it directly to trusted community organizations that support people facing food insecurity throughout the Bay Area. A new spooky attraction has just opened in time for Halloween. It's the Vampire Tour of San Francisco. It offers mortals a peek into the city's dark history with the undead. And while most of us think of Transylvania or New Orleans when it comes to vampires, our Itai Hodge shows us that San Francisco might just have a little more bite than you think.
To mere mortals, her name is Kitty Nazaro. But around here, she's simply known as the Vampiress of San Francisco. When were you bitten?
1897.
She claims it was none other than Count Dracula himself who did it.
That was the night that my life came to an end, but not my existence.
Ever since, she's been on a mission to feed our curiosity.
This is the site of the most brutal battle between mortals and vampires.
For 20 years now, she's led her vampire tours, where history has a habit of coming back from the dead.
Alcatraz is by far the most haunted spot in the entire city.
She doesn't drink blood, she spills the tea.
They think if they wear garlic around a vampire, they're going to be protected. It's a spice.
Mark Kaufman, noted celebrity sommelier, said her tours were the perfect pairing for his label, Vampire Wines.
We're on her website, she's on our website.
So, how long have you been dead?
From AMC's Interview with a Vampire series, based on Anne Rice's classic, to FX's What We Do in the Shadows, to this year's blockbuster Sinners, our obsession with the undead has never been more alive.
So San Francisco really is a vampire city?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Dr. Robin Werner, who teaches vampire literature at the University of New Orleans, says that while the Big Easy remains the vampire capital of the U.S., San Francisco might just be their summer getaway.
You've got the fog, you've got the ambiance.
For the Vampiress of San Francisco, it's been the perfect way to make a living.
Everybody loves to get scared.
A grave reminder that while we humans may never achieve immortality,
we don't exactly make a quiet entrance.
Time spent hanging out with vampires is never in vain.
If you're wondering how the Vampiress of San Francisco manages to stroll in broad daylight, she tells Itai that she uses a special max factor makeup made for vampires, SPF 500, good for about 2 hours of sun.
Well, we had some clouds out there to help out too. We had the cloud cover streaming over the Black Mountain camera. It became up close and personal for a little while as the sun went down this evening. Looking at a rather damp weekend, but not a washout either. We'll break down when the best chance of showers will arrive coming up in the First Alert forecast.
The clouds have rolled in, so does that mean more rain is on the way?
A little bit.
A little bit?
A little bit.
Okay.
Not a lot. So
Ooh,
the last storm system we had was pretty impressive early last week.
Yes.
This one isn't going to be as much, but it's time to arrive when a lot of people want to be doing stuff outside.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so let's take a look at what to expect. We'll start with the big picture perspective, and the bulk of the moisture with this one is aimed towards the Pacific Northwest and Northern California. So that's outlined on this satellite view in the shades of purple and blue, tracking that abundant atmospheric moisture that is associated with an atmospheric river. And that atmospheric river is going to be aimed at the Bay Area as we head through tonight and tomorrow. But you really wouldn't guess it by the amount of rain that we're going to see. The amounts are going to be very modest. These atmospheric rivers, when we talk about categorizing them, it doesn't have to do with how much rain actually falls. It's how much moisture is being transported through the atmosphere overhead. There's going to be a decent amount, ranks as an AR1 on the 1 to 5 scale, but it's just not going to result in any heavy rainfall for the Bay Area. Here's Futurecast from midnight tonight through Saturday morning, 6 o'clock. We're going to see most of the rain falling in the North Bay in that time frame, and this is when the rain is really going to look most impressive across the Bay Area. We're going to track that as we head through the rest of tomorrow, and Futurecast tracks that rain kind of falling apart as it makes its way deeper into the Bay Area, but still some light to moderate rain showers through about midday. The bulk of that rain is going to be moving off to the east by early afternoon. So tomorrow afternoon into tomorrow evening and tomorrow night, that's our dry break. So it's not going to be an all weekend washout. And again, even though showers early Saturday are going to be moving along at a pretty good clip, round 2 of rainfall is going to arrive on Sunday. So from 6 a.m. to noon Sunday, Now, the showers are pretty few and far between. They're going to be out there, mainly over the North Bay at first, the way these things usually develop, pressing farther into the Bay Area by midday and into the afternoon, but pushing mostly off to the east during the afternoon. So if you have some stuff you want to get done outside by Sunday afternoon, I think later in the afternoon is going to be the more favorable time frame for that to get done. And the amounts are going to be, well, fairly unimpressive overall. That same forecast model shows anywhere from 1/100th of an inch of rain, and even that's going to be a stretch around Monterey and Salinas, to maybe a little over 1/10 of an inch of total rainfall out of that first round on Saturday, and then just a tiny bit more on top of that on Sunday. So this is, again, an atmospheric river overhead, not much of that moisture actually falling down and saturating the Bay Area, but just enough to kind of mess up your outdoor plans. In the Sierra, it's also not going to be a huge snowmaker, less than an inch at lake level with 1 to 2 inches higher up in elevation. Right now, pretty sunset with the clouds streaming in. Temperatures retreating mostly to the 60s, but it's down to 59 degrees already in San Francisco. And high temperatures tomorrow only going to be in the 60s across the entire Bay Area. So cool dog walking weather for Tashi, a perfect autumn picture for the last weekend in October. Again, those showers could wet her down. The rain chances do diminish in the Santa Clara Valley, so San Jose probably not going to pick up that much. But during the afternoon, I think she'll find favorable conditions to get out for at least a little bit of a walk. Let's take a look at the 7-day forecast. And again, temperatures everywhere across the Bay Area this weekend in the 60s. Doesn't matter if you're inland, bayside, or at the coast, but the differences spread out a bit next week, back up to around 80 degrees inland from Tuesday all the way through the end of next week. The warm-up will be noticeable bayside as well, but just not quite as warm. Those warmest days from Tuesday through next Friday, only up into the mid-70s by the Bay, but that's a good 5 or 6 degrees above normal. And temperatures at the coast even flirting with 70 degrees for at least a couple of days, gradually coasting back to the upper 60s. Jules?
Looks good. And for Halloween, too, Paul.
It does.
Oh, good. Thank you. Okay. When we come back, San Francisco's Stern Grove has transformed into a haunted bayou, a behind-the-scenes look at their spookiest event of the year. Here we go. The stage is set for a spooky Halloween celebration for the whole family. San Francisco's Stern Grove has been transformed for one night only into Scare Grove. The event includes a haunted house, carnival rides, a hay maze, and a costume contest. Daniel with SF Recreation and Parks says Stern Grove is the perfect place to have the event.
Stern Grove is a very magical forest-like setting, so you can imagine at night it turns a little spooky, which is great for tonight.
He also says tonight's theme, Boo on the Bayou, looks to add a southern flair to the scares. Scare Grove runs until 9 p.m. tonight. CBS Evening News is next on KPIX. Local news continues on our streaming service, CBS News Bay Area. We're back here in 30 minutes, 7 just for you with more news.